relations that exist between the Filipinos and the Americans, and it is his hope that they continue. He also calls me a few names. General Aguinaldo has become a household word the world over. A great general, a great statesman, and a great man. He has been the means, in a measure, to allow the United States to establish peace and maintain prosperity on these islands.
Os participo de que he dado la bienvenida a nuestro gran actor de América. Por la misma razón, espero que esta visita que nos ha dignado dicho gran actor Mr. Paipán estrechará más la armonía entre americanos y filipinos.
A traitor, a dictator, an embodiment of discrimination, sold and surrendered our country to different colonizers. The person I am talking about is none other than the first and youngest president of the Philippines, Emilio Aguinaldo. For this video, we are going to talk about the author himself, the background of his book, analysis on the information given by the book, and the contribution and relevance of the book today. The author of mga Gunita ng Himagsikan, Emilio Aguinaldo, was a local leader of the Katipunan, which is a revolutionary society that fought bitterly and successfully against the Spaniards. He was elected the first and youngest president of the new Republic of the Philippines under the Malolos Congress. Emilio Aguinaldo was a Filipino revolutionary who played a key role by leading Philippine forces against Spain in the Philippine-American War that led to the independence of our country. Aguinaldo's motivation in writing this document is for the Filipinos to be knowledgeable about the happenings of the revolution and to correct the history of unclear takes on the revolution. Emilio Aguinaldo produced the first volume of his memoir between 1928 and 1946. The memoir includes accounts from Aguinaldo's birth and early years until the signing of the Biak-na-Bato Treaty in 1897. These were based on various documents such as the diaries, preserved documents, and family lore he personally gathered from his relatives. This document talked about situations of the Filipino people under the Spanish regime. It stated how the Katipunan bravely fought the Spaniards for the freedom of the country, and also how Emilio Aguinaldo led the Filipinos for the revolution until the independence of the Filipinos from the Spaniards. There are many events during this period that affected the Philippines. Some of them were the Philippine Revolution, the Battle of Manila Bay, and the Philippine independence. This document of Aguinaldo talked about how Filipinos were portrayed during the Spanish regime and under his presidency. They were shown to passionately fighting back to regain our freedom. But also, during these times, life loss of Filipinos increased drastically. The battle between Spaniards and Filipinos were in great tension, which created hardships to the Filipinos. They experienced property loss as well. Soldiers fought bravely to gain our independence with the assistance of Emilio Aguinaldo. Independence, being Aguinaldo's main goal, was achieved and the country was finally liberated against the Spanish tyranny. There have been debunked misconceptions in the history of our country, and one of them was that it was previously known that Emilio Aguinaldo only unfurled the flag to declare independence, and that it was Rizal's distant relative, Ambrosio Gonzalez Bautista, who ended up waving it in front of a jubilant crowd. But because of Aguinaldo's document, it was debunked. It was still Aguinaldo who led the independence of our country and proclaimed it on the balcony of his mansion. Having it considered that Emilio Aguinaldo's produced in longhand and first volume of his memoir, Mga Gunita ng Himagsikan, was based on a diary he kept and documents he preserved, it was interesting to know that he had led a lot of revolutions and political career that had happened in order to achieve independence the country has been longing. Through Emilio Aguinaldo's book, scholars, historians, analysts can have accurate information which could be used as a basis for further studying about what happened during the past, specifically during the latter part of the Spanish regime. This document also provides us information on how the Filipino people lived during those times, when they were under the Spanish tyranny and while being under the hands of Aguinaldo himself. This document is an addition to the evidences we had that Filipinos back then struggled to regain our freedom, but it still successfully reclaimed it. With this document, we are able to see what kind of government the Philippines had back then. And lastly, this document serves as a reminder to the Filipino youth everything they have now is thanks to the people who participated in reclaiming our freedom. If it was not for them, we would still be under another country's hands and they will not be able to live the life they want. That it was thanks to the Filipino people back then who took the courage to step forward and bring back what was ours. That they should always be grateful and not forget everything that had happened back then, and to know correctly what happened during that time.
I take pleasure in sending the following greeting to the United States and to the world at large. Me pide usted dos palabras. Diré algunas ideas mías sobre la invención o inventos. El aparato que usted manipula es maravilloso porque reproduce la figura movible al mismo tiempo que emite el sonido de la voz. Cuando con el tiempo se perfeccione este invento, el mundo quedará sorprendido ante los cuadros vivientes y parlantes que ello exhibirá sobre el tiempo. La ciencia ha acrecentado el paso acelerado de los adelantos modernos. Por medio de la ciencia conservamos la salud e inclusive devolvemos la juventud a los que le han perdido. La ciencia también ha impulsado los inventos que se dirigen a la destrucción del hombre por el hombre. Estas dos tendencias contrarias todavía nos dicen que la cantidad de la animalidad en nosotros es muy grande. ¿Cuándo podía la ciencia perfeccionar aparatos que reformen y regeneren a los hombres? ¿Cuándo podrá nuestra humanidad decir que va camino de la perfección moral, de la fraternidad de todos los hombres, de todos los pueblos, de todas las razas y de todos los credos?